plays Kristen, Dorian Brown. She plays Ryan's neighbor and Wilfred's owner. Jenna, please welcome Fiona Goodman. He co-created the original version of Wilfred. He's an executive producer, a writer, and stars as the title character. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Gann.
Thank you.
He stars as Ryan. Please welcome Elijah Wood. Our executive producer, who has worked on such great shows as American Dad, Family Guy. He adapted Wilfred for American television. It's my pleasure to introduce David Zuckerman. And we're very fortunate to have an outstanding moderator today. He is the former TV critic of the New York Star Ledger. He's the senior editor and TV critic for Hit Fix. You can follow him on Twitter at Seppenwall. Please welcome Alan Seppenwall.
So Elijah, I have to start with you. You get this script, you think, all right, now everything I ever wanted to accomplish as an actor is done?
In one fell swoop. Yeah, in one fell swoop. We all just watched the episode for the first time. I did anyway. I've never seen that episode. And I think that's our crowning achievement. I mean, it's got everything you want in a great comedy show, right? It's got jizz, it's got great dancing. Come on. Oh my God. And it's got a churro blowjob. Come on. That's what we bring you on our show.
Where do you rank the accomplishments? You know, starring in an Oscar-winning Best Picture or being in a money shot? I mean...
Totally. Oh.
David, I have to ask, how did this episode come about? What was the original pitch?
Is this thing on?
Is this on?
Yeah.
Actually, there was an interesting story about this where somebody in our writer's room, who's probably in this room right now, but he'll remain nameless, was talking about how he had gone to a party one night, and as a gag, he had picked up the dog that was there and was pretending to jerk it off. Not pretending, sorry. He was actually doing it. And although I don't think he actually took the dog to completion, for the rest of the night, the dog was following him around completely obsessed. And that was sort of where we started.
The dog apparently still remembers him, like he's like, yeah, you know. But in fact, to defend Reed, he didn't do it at the end. It wasn't on the lipstick part. It was like just a shot. If you ever meet Reed, he's the funniest guy I've ever met. Between him and his writing partner, Eli, hilarious guy.
Are you here, Reed? Reed, you should stand up.
This guy.
Could the dog masturbator please stand up?
He'll do anything for a laugh.
You get a camera on me, please? Including masturbated dog.
So how do you get from there then to Ryan and Wilfred dancing?
Well, I think the idea of doing an episode about doggy dancing was sort of floating around also. This was a story that we had actually broken last year with a completely different theme. It was about Wilfred and Ryan spending too much time together, and that episode eventually became the one about the block party with Trash Face last season. So it changed a little bit. But it was one of the episodes that FX, not for the reasons you would think, had thought that we weren't quite ready to do. So they asked us not to do it last year. It had nothing to do with the money shot, which by the way, you will not see on the air. That is the one thing that we were not allowed to do. So you got to see a shot that only people on DVD, so you should feel very, very special. It will be a dry shot on when it airs. But we just came up with the notion of the theme and the idea of Ryan and Wilfred doing a big dance number at the end, and the story came together, and Jason did an amazing job on the script. And these guys worked so hard on that dance. They did that in between shooting scenes from other episodes. They worked with a choreographer. They just busted their asses, and I have to say, you can't tell by looking at it, or maybe you can't, they're not actually natural dancers. They have to work a little bit. But they worked really hard on that, and the music came together. It was a really fun thing to do.
And Randall, I mean, the final number looks very much like the classic movie musical kind of thing. How did you shoot that?
We actually used, we shot, it's funny, I have one frame that I sent to one of the production people in effects. It's a shot, we shoot our show on stills cameras. Kind of like these stills cameras down here, only not quite as high end. So we have, there's a photo I had of our stills cameras, a $3,000 stills camera with a lens I bought off of eBay for $500 on a $300,000 crane to do those big sweeping shots. It just goes some great irony in that, I thought. This is this tiny little camera on a giant crane. But we worked together with a production designer, Michael Whetstone, to come up with how to move the walls and blow that whole place apart. And I think it looked really cool. A lot of fun.
Now, Elijah and Jason, I just want to hear a little bit from your perspective about doing the choreography for this. Sorry, how was that?
It was challenging. We didn't have a lot of time. Like David was saying, we were shooting different episodes, sometimes in the same day, and to try and find the time, that was what was it, like a 3.5-minute dance sequence that we had to learn? And I remember the first time that we actually saw the dancers, our choreographers, lay it all out for us. It was so intimidating. Because up at that point, we'd learned little bits and pieces for that dance montage that you see in the middle, and that was easier because we could kind of bite off these little chunks. But this whole long sequence was very intimidating, but we kind of just attacked it bit by bit.
It was the last thing that we shot in the whole season, and we were there till about 1 in the morning, or 1:30 in the morning, and it was kind of surreal because it was, the lights were on, and it looks like this Hollywood, 1940s Hollywood set, and the music, it was like a real finale type thing, and it was like, this may be the last time we ever play these roles, like you live from week to week with ratings and stuff, and it was really, it was a special time, and it was like, wow, this has been a fun journey.
It was cool. It was cool to actually go out of the whole season with that scene. It's such an explosive, celebratory. Dirty mind. But it's such a, it's a celebratory sequence, and to kind of go out dancing was awesome. And it was a real great thing for the crew to experience too, because it was literally our most professional day on set. We had a Technic crane. We felt like we were making something proper, with proper equipment. It was pretty amazing.
And then we had Del Taco that night too.
I know. Del Taco? That was not our finest moment.
I want to ask Dorian and Fiona a sequel to a question I asked at last year's panel in terms of working with Jason and not reacting to him as a person and treating him as a dog. Now that you've done 2 seasons of this, do you feel like you've gotten it down, or there's still times every now and then when you find yourself kind of breaking and reacting to what he's actually doing?
Jason is one of the funniest people I know, and you never know what's going to come out of his mouth. So definitely there'll be times where we'll be interacting where that will crack me up. But in terms of being in the moment, it's still the same approach, just trying to keep it as truthful as possible and treat him like he's one of my pets.
I actually did have scenes I had a scene. Tonight's episode, we get to interact, and that was fun, but I did have a hard time not noticing Jason and not looking at him like a human being, because I guess we realized we had never really done that.
We haven't done much together until this year, and we realised, oh, this is like, this is unusual, and yeah, it's good. I think that Wilfred and the Kristen character, we were talking about this before, should interact more. Look at her, she's gorgeous.
And Jason, do you ever feel like mischievous and deliberately try to mess with them?
No, I've got too much on my mind in that suit. You know, I look at there's not a lot of magic for me in that suit. It's been with me for a long time, but I like it's been fun. Like this year, I've had the chance to see the response that people have had to the show, and so that's what keeps me going when I'm literally losing my brain with the heat and the exhaustion in that dog suit. And I wonder what I'm doing with my life. And then I remember like the response, the love that people have for the character, and so I just concentrate on that, and I just sort of forget that I even am in and playing Wilfred. It's funny. This is a bit off the subject, but whenever we start shooting Wilfred in those first few scenes, Wilfred's rarely there. Like, it'll be like I'm in the suit, I'm talking like Wilfred in the voice. I think I'm trying to act like Wilfred, but it's not there, and it's really scary. I'm like, well, man, like, is he going to come back? Like, is he gone? And then all of a sudden, like on about the third take, something just happens. It's sort of magic. Wilfred appears, and everyone sees it. You know, David, you said it last time. You're like, oh, there he is. You know, he's back. You know, it's just one of those weird things that that's nervous about.
And has dog suit technology not improved since you started doing it in Australia?
No, it hasn't. It's like fireworks. You notice fireworks hasn't improved? Fireworks is fireworks, and there's always all these fireworks. Oh, wow! Blue.
Well, now they've got smiley faces.
It can't be overstated how uncomfortable that suit is. I tried to wear one of the ones that FX sold, which are much softer and more comfortable. I didn't stay in it for 10 minutes. Yeah, that one right there. Jason's suit is like made of sandpaper, really thick, woolly sandpaper, and the fact that he can stay on it even for one take, let alone multiple takes, or an entire day of dancing. It's really a testament to his...
That suit too, the one in the dance sequence, is actually a hotter suit because it's like coiffed, so it has more hair, and it's kind of those are the worst conditions.
You really did listen to me.
And he danced endlessly that night with no complaint. It was pretty amazing, man. I was impressed. Not that he complains at all, but
David's got a joke to say, Jason shot the whole season and he didn't complain once. Not once. I complain a bit.
not about the suit.
David, I want to ask a little bit about Ryan's new workplace. You have him actually out there in the adult world. He's interacting with Allison Mack and Stephen Weber and Rob Riggle and all of them. Does it make, A, why did you do that? And B, does it make it any more difficult to sort of use Wilfred in an environment where Ryan has adult responsibilities and is with other people more often?
One of the reasons we did it was there was some question as to how Ryan can afford such a nice house in Venice and drive a Beamer, and he hadn't worked for a while. And he was a successful lawyer, but I guess his savings could only go so far. So it seemed logical that we'd have to get him out in the work world. And one of the environments that we thought would be fun for Wilfred was to put him in an office, make him an office dog. It's not as fertile territory as we thought it would be. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that Ryan's job doesn't last all season, and it doesn't end well. But it was great to actually have. What was fun for me, and I think for the writers, was to write an ensemble workplace comedy after doing, essentially a buddy comedy for a season. So
I'm sure the people here have questions. If you guys want to line up, I'll ask one more and then we can get started on that. Are there multiple bears, or is there just the one?
Two? Yeah. Well, because we had a... Oh, I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying we tear Bear's arm off in an episode.
Yes, you would be if you said that out loud.
It's a good thing you didn't say that out loud.
Yeah, look, things happen to Bear along the way, and it's good to have a backup Bear just to... it's kind of like what they're doing with people, you know, stem cell research, and you can just replace an arm. Keep a human alive. One day we'll be doing that with us. We're experimenting with Bear. It's like Fiona says, it's funny stuff just comes out.
I think Bear is actually my favorite character in the show.
But you don't need like a specialized bear, one for when he's typing, one for when he's driving, one for when he's being molested, that sort of thing.
You know, like we've been aware though not to overuse Bear. You know, like we want to use him sparingly because we don't want people to get sick of him. So, or her. We never, if you notice, we never refer to Bear as a he or a she. It's always as a bear.
I've been told that apparently we did in the first season.
We did. We actually...
We said that it was a he. Somebody just recently mentioned this to me, and I was like, no, it's an it. We said that? Oh.
Right. Think about
We ruined it.
Bears always shows up on time. Never leaves set. Always on his mark. You can know where to find him. And shows up every day on time. Never complains.
He actually was pretty pissed off you cut him out of that dance scene, Randall.
It's easy to write.
All right, do we have questions from the audience?
This question is for Elijah. How was it going from Lord of the Rings to doing a project like this?
You know what's going to be amazing? I actually do look forward to this. I'll be like 50 years old. And it'll be in some other movie, some other project. And they're going to say, what was it like going from Lord of the Rings to this? Well, that was 30 years ago. But we can talk about that transition. I love that. I think it's so funny. I've worked on so many things. It doesn't bother me. This has been an absolute joy to be a part of. I loved this project the moment that I read it. I've never read anything like it in my life. Certainly never seen anything like it on television. And the idea of doing something that is not easy to describe, that is quite dark and cerebral and very funny, was really exciting. And you know, meeting David, getting a sense of where he wanted to take that first season, I fell in love with it, and ultimately fell in love with Jason and Randall and the whole team. And I'm so lucky to go to work today, to go to work on the show every day. We have so much fun. I can't believe the scenarios that we get to create and get ourselves into, and you know, working with FX has been a joy as well because we get to freely make the show that we want to make. It's awesome.
And with the Comic-Con joke in this episode, was there any temptation to actually make it Frodo, or would that have been too on the nose?
Yeah, the alt for that joke was, I think I could go as Spider-Man.
Yeah, because the joke, right, is that the joke is that people confuse me for Daniel Radcliffe and Tobey Maguire. So that's the joke.
Alright, do we have another one?
My question is for David. One of my favorite things about the show is the ambiguous nature of Wilfred. I think it's very much like Calvin and Hobbes, where it's the question of, is it real or just imaginary? I was wondering what your personal take on the reality of the show is.
Here's the thing. I think this is a show told from Ryan's point of view, and the whole idea of the show is Ryan is trying to figure out what Wilfred is, and we want the audience to be in Ryan's shoes, trying to think, reason through it the same way. A lot of people are asking me, like, what are the answers? What, solve the mystery? And I'm wondering, like, really? Do you really want to know? Because then why would you want to watch it? I think if probably need to do an episode about this where Wilfred teaches Ryan that it's the journey. Well, it's the journey, not the destination. Enjoy the ride. If you think about all those shows that have mythologies like X-Files and Lost and Battlestar Galactica, there's a 50% chance that when everything is explained to you, you're going to think it's terrible and you're going to hate it. And there's a 50% chance you're going to think, oh, how delightful, that was totally worth it. So just kind of know right now, 50% of you are going to hate where we're going, but you might really like the ride up till that last 15 minutes, like in Battlestar Galactica.
This is for Elijah.
Yes.
What is your favorite part about interacting with Jason during scenes and everything? Just what scenes are your favorite?
Well, those are two questions. My favorite part of acting with Jason. We have a lot of favorites. I'd say that the songs that we come up with when we work. If we had a webcam on us while we work, it would be very entertaining for y'all and real embarrassing for us because we just sing songs all day. And we literally have made up songs to the point where we made up songs last season that we remembered this season. So there might be a Wilfred and Ryan record coming out soon. But we have a blast. It's funny, the first season. Probably because it was our first season and we were, trying to establish our work environment and our characters. I didn't really laugh a lot the first season. I didn't break a lot. This season I laughed my ass off.
Yeah, last season he broke the first time on the very last day, and this season he broke on the first day. And you laughed a lot, all you.
We have a lot of fun.
They're up against the wall right before we were going to sneak Wilfred into the office. He must have done like 25 takes of that scene. Elijah just could not keep a straight face. I've never seen him do that before. It was totally unprofessional.
And the jizz scene where I was lying underneath and Elijah was above me and Randall did the jizz.
Oh yeah, that's Randall's
With the hyperbaric needle and stuff.
And they had a camera on me, but there's no point because every time I laugh, I could not stop laughing. I said, if we had shot that scene 100 times, I'll laugh 100 times.
Randall's a really hands-on director. He really likes to get in there,